to our nation's transformation beyond the talking points. Well, we're back from our summer break, and we hope that this episode finds you well rested and ready for the fall. As you know, our nation's transformation explores the connection between spirituality and politics. And in this episode, we have the pleasure to talk with Carlotta Hayes, yoga teacher and political activist. Carlotta Hayes, everyone! Yay!
Newton, it's a delight.
Thank you for coming, Carlotta. This means so much to me.
I'm really happy to be here too.
It's wonderful to have you. So, Carlotta, I'm just dying to ask you, how is yoga and politics related? I just don't get it.
That is such a big question. Believe me, I have been asking myself that question for a long time. But you know what, Newton, I'd like to start with what we're talking about when we talk about yoga, because I think people have a lot of different ideas of what yoga is.
Oh, sure. Yeah, we can do that. Actually, can I try this one? I think I know what yoga is.
Yeah.
Well, to me, we're doing downward dog.
Yes.
Like, I can't really do it here. Also, I don't have legs, so that makes it harder. But you do poses and stuff.
Yeah.
And oh, I got this really cool mat at home, and it's like my colors, orange and green, and there's little pointy things sticking out of the top of it, and it's a cool mat. It costs a lot of money. Oh, and you get really cool pants, yoga pants. Oh, and you breathe a lot like this. Right? That's basically it, huh, Carlotta?
Well, yes, and there's a lot more to yoga. The two things you mentioned, the poses and breathing, are just 2 of 8 so-called limbs of yoga. So there's 8 aspects to yoga.
Oh.
And most people come to yoga, a lot of people in this country come to yoga for the poses, to either heal from some injury or condition that they have, or to look good. That's how I came to yoga, and I studied it from a book back in the 1970s, and I skipped over the parts about breathing and meditation. I just wanted to...
Because that part's not that important, is it?
I didn't think so. And it took me until I moved to California, where there were a lot of yoga classes available, which I hadn't experienced before, to learn a little bit about breathing and meditation. And then it took till after I moved back to the East Coast, and several years after that, before I began to understand that it's the breathing and the meditation that can really change your life.
Oh, really?
Yeah, not just, because when you do the poses, you feel great right away.
Okay.
But then if you don't do it again for a while, it kind of goes away. And meditation and the yogic way of breathing, like I'm breathing like that right now, so I won't be nervous. I'm using a yogic way of breathing.
Oh.
So that I can just relax and be myself.
Ah, which is always the best when you can do that.
Yeah, it's better than being phony.
Be yourself.
Yeah, because being phony is stressful.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, when I was reading your bio, I think you mentioned something about the union of opposites?
Yes.
Am I saying that right?
Yes, that's the most common definition of yoga that I've come across, the union of opposites. So I have a right hand and a left hand, and if I put them together, there's one thing, which is my hands. They're both hands, and when you put them together, they're one thing together. They're unified, even though they're opposites.
My hands.
They come together. So that's also one way that I could say that yoga and political work is similar, because when we work with people that are different from ourselves and we come together and we say, we are one.
Oh,
we have the
yeah.
we have the same needs, the same interests, and let's put our energy together.
Right, that's right. It's coming together. We're all one, even if we seem to disagree at times.
Yes.
And it's sometimes it's really hard to be loving to someone who disagrees with you, but maybe all that yoga stuff can help, huh?
Yes. A couple of things. In yoga, one of the things we pay a lot of attention to is our egos. So our egos can steer us wrong.
All the time.
All the time.
With my practice, I do the same. The ego is a big thing. It's basically a fear-based thought.
Yes.
It's just fear, and it's always against you, but it seems like it's for you on your side and all, but it never actually is.
Yes.
It's the opposite of love or connection.
Right. So I can think somebody out there is my enemy, but really the only enemy I have is my own ego, my own fear.
Yes, we are our own worst enemies. Us, huh? Oh, that actually reminds me of a quote by this guy. He's a musician. I'm starting to get into him. His name's Bob Marley, and he talks about the mental slavery in our minds, and we're the only ones that can free ourselves. But do you know the quote, Carlotta? I'm kind of messing it up.
I love that quote, Newton. It's emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds.
Yes, that's it.
It's actually a quote from Marcus Garvey that Bob Marley turned into a song.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, Marcus Garvey was an activist too. And I feel like that is a description of the essence of yoga. In fact, if you go thousands of years ago, hundreds of years before Christ, there's this ancient book. It's the oldest book we know of how to do yoga. And the second sentence in it is, yoga is about how to get control of your mind. It's about controlling the fluctuations of your mind.
Wow.
So if your mind is what's making you unhappy, the secret to happiness is learning how to become aware of what you're thinking and toss a lot of it right out the window.
Oh.
And just stay focused on what your intention is rather than the whisperings of your ego.
So I think a lot of times we think it's something out there that's making us unhappy.
Yes.
But I guess when you're really truly honest with yourself, it's like always in here, in my heart or my mind.
Yes, and let me say something completely opposite to what we've been saying just now, because I think it's also true there are people out there that don't have our best interest at heart, that are working against the best interests of the American people, and that's why a lot of us are drawn into politics. If you're following a path of peacefulness and nonviolence, it doesn't mean, oh, I'll just sit at home and just like not do very much. Really, real, true, strong peace is about not just contemplating, but bringing action behind your words and your thoughts.
So it's not just enough just to be compassionate or just to think good thoughts. That's not enough.
Yeah, you know, as a yoga teacher for a long time, a lot of us used to think it was enough, that don't worry about what's happening in the outer world, you need to fix what's here.
Because that's all that you have control over.
Right. And to a certain extent that's true. You have to start here. But I think it's also true that if somebody's hurting somebody and I can stop that or I can change what's happening a little bit, it's a responsibility to step in. And
to do the right thing.
To do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, otherwise I'm out of integrity. I'm not doing what I say that I'm doing.
With yourself.
With myself and as a practitioner of yoga.
Right.
Because nonviolence is, there's a bunch of precepts that yoga teachers, yoga people try to follow. One of them's nonviolence. That's the big one. There's telling the truth, not stealing, like that. And you're phony if you don't try to follow the things you say you believe.
Oh, so that's some of the yoga beliefs?
Yes.
It's like, it's not just about doing the poses or even not just about breathing and meditation. It's actually like a way to live, huh?
It's
Don't
a way of
steal,
life.
don't lie,
Yeah.
help others in need.
Yeah, it's
And
not.
stand up for things you think are right, or stand up against things that are wrong. Like all that's part of yoga?
Yes, it's a way to live every moment of your life.
Oh.
It's not like I reached this perfection, now I'm done, and I can just say, oh, I'm better than everybody else. It's constantly recognizing that there are weaknesses and little moments of cowardice that we need to recognize in ourselves and to overcome them.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I totally agree with that. We all are, you know, working towards our highest and best selves.
Yes.
But we don't necessarily always get there every day. But we have to try.
Yes.
And so the yoga practice throughout your life helps you do that.
Yes.
Oh, wow. I'm learning a lot. So actually, I just want to back up a little bit when you were talking about nonviolence.
Yeah.
And saying it's not just about not being violent and doing something against someone. It's more than that.
Yes, it is. So, like, if you compare the yoga precepts or guidelines to the Ten Commandments, the Ten Commandments says, "Thou shalt not kill." And I think a lot of people think that nonviolence means, oh, I don't eat animals because somebody killed them, and I don't hit somebody over the head. Check, I'm off the hook.
Yeah, I didn't kill anyone today. I'm a good person. That's it.
Right.
But it's not just
It's
that.
not that simple, and it's much more nuanced. It's much more the little things in life, like if I see glass on the beach and I know a lot of people are barefooted around me, I should pick it up so people don't get hurt. It's being aware in the moment so you can recognize things that you can do.
It sounds like being proactive a little bit too.
Yeah.
And not just waiting for someone to cut themselves, but trying to avoid that to begin with. And why would we even care? Because we care about people.
Right, right. And being kind with my words.
Oh, you know what? It reminds me of this quote about Martin Luther King. Someone said, he wasn't just about trying to win the right to vote for black people in the South. He was also about trying to help white people to let go of the hatred that's in their hearts. And that was where his actions came from. Spreading love, not just getting like something done on the political arena.
Yes, he had a very universal vision that originated with urgent need where he lived in the South, and then he began to think globally about the Vietnam War. And he definitely did include white people in his mission, because I've read, I think, the lines that you're quoting, that he made a statement about that white people aren't happy when they're being mean, basically. You know, that's very yogic, that's very, all the things that yoga teachers follow is not to be a better person or to be more accepted by God, it's to be a happier person. It's very practical.
That's what the thing I do. It's about being happy.
Yeah.
And not like in a way of like, oh, let me buy the newest iPhone and I'll be happy. Because actually, we all know that doesn't really bring you happiness anyway. But when you're happy, you're just a kinder person to your fellow human beings, and you love yourself more too. So that's really the name of the game.
Yes. And going back to Martin Luther King, he spent time in India. He was there touring for 2 weeks in 1959 with his wife, and he talked to heads of state, and he made speeches and public appearances because people
did he talk to Gandhi back then?
Gandhi had already been assassinated in 1946, but he was very interested in Gandhi and nonviolence, and then he brought that back to enhance his struggles here in the States.
Oh, wow. So Gandhi was sort of helping to teach Martin Luther King the practice of nonviolence, even though he was gone by then.
Yes, so Gandhi and King both give us a template to answer your question. How do you practice yoga or your spirituality, whatever it is, and be political in arena that sometimes gets, I think they use the word dirty sometimes when people are slinging mud toward the end of a campaign, or demonizing the person on the other side. It can get very partisan and kind of rough. So how do you bring that loving presence into that?
How do you?
I think a lot of it's about...
Does the yoga breath and stuff help you do that?
The yoga breath helps. I can short circuit reactivity sometimes if I just relax and take a deep breath with my belly relaxed. That's a yoga practice.
Oh.
Full inhale, not with tension in my belly, just release that. But also having the awareness to take care of myself. So for example, if I'm door knocking with a bunch of friends, and we've been doing it all day, talking to voters.
Are you selling cookies?
No, we're telling people about an election so they know who's running and asking them who they support and listening.
Oh, that kind of door knocking.
Yeah, if they want to talk about what's important to them, so we can bring that back to the candidate.
Oh, okay.
And then it gets late, and it's exhausting physically and emotionally talking to a lot of people when you don't know if they're going to yell, "Get off my lawn," because that happens sometimes.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah, so it gets late, and then maybe somebody says, "Let's keep going." And I have to stop and check in with myself, because if I'm tired and I'm going to start getting cranky if I agree to something I think I should do, but my heart's not in it, that's not how I want to be.
Oh yeah, that's not being true to yourself.
Right.
Also, you probably have kind of low energy, like
exactly,
and you might be kind of mean to the people you're knocking on doors to by accident.
Or
even.
if I fight with the people I'm campaigning with, and then I try to go be nice at the door, people are gonna know.
They can tell.
Yeah.
Because people aren't as dumb as
they're not as dumb
other people
as,
think they are.
That's right. That's right.
They're actually really smart. Kids too. But I digress.
So what I've learned after years of working in a way where I do that and completely exhaust myself and run on empty for days, I finally figured out the yoga has to come first. I have to not skip meditation the day that I'm doing my political work, whether it's carrying a sign or registering voters or standing with a costume on a bridge where they want to frack gas and inform people that's not a good idea, or march in a parade, anything that I want to do, I have to not skip meditation that day.
No.
That's just an absolute. I have to meditate, and then I can come into that. I took care of myself. I got good rest the night before. I had a nice breakfast. I drank enough. Now I'm good. But if I start neglecting myself, then I'm not good for much in the political arena, and I definitely deplete myself.
Oh, so it sounds like it recharges your batteries.
Yes.
In a way that if you didn't do it, well, your outcomes could be different if you didn't set yourself right in the beginning.
Yes. When I started meditating seriously, it was real interesting, because for years I would meditate for 5 minutes every day in the evening when I came home exhausted from work. And it wasn't every night. And it wasn't always even 5 minutes. And I didn't always set a timer.
Oh, so it wasn't very consistent then.
It wasn't consistent.
Whoopsie!
I tried to do it every day. And
it's hard to do things every day.
It is hard to do things every day.
It takes a lot of discipline.
Yeah, and what I discovered, it's keeping a promise to yourself. It's really important, and it's
harder to do that for yourself than to keep a promise to other people sometimes.
Right, because there's no witness.
Yeah, no one's going to tell you, uh-oh, you didn't do it.
Right.
So how do you make yourself do something like that over and over and over again when it's hard?
Well, I have 2 tricks I can tell you about. One is to make a habit out of it. So same time, same place. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's lots of promises we make. We don't even realize.
What happens when you keep little promises, like a daily thing that nobody sees, you just do it, do it, do it. What happens is maybe you have a big dream that seems almost impossible, but you promise yourself, I'm going to make this happen. It makes it a lot easier to keep that promise if you know that you've kept little promises, you count on yourself more.
Oh, right. And actually, I guess that's the only person you can fully count on is yourself in the end.
In the end, yeah.
Wow. Wait, Mom, you got to listen to this. You got to watch this later because you need this help. You're not very disciplined, I hate to say, but you could make those things into habits. We'll talk later. Sorry, I just had to tell her before I forgot.
Well, maybe this will help her too, because I found out when I do meditate every morning and without fail, and first thing, before I open up any media, before I open up anything electronic.
Before you check the news.
No, I don't touch that.
Before you get on Facebook or check email or any of that stuff.
Even if I meditate after doing all that, I'm off my game already. I have to meditate first. But once I do that, then I'm so focused and my productivity is out the roof.
Wow.
And when I figured that out, I was like, okay, I'm doing this. I'm doing this.
So I was going to ask you earlier what you would do if you were late and you didn't have time to meditate. But it sounds like when you do meditate and you take that short time to do it, it actually expands time for you. It seems like you get more time when you take the time to meditate.
It is interesting. You know, that almost happened this morning because when I woke up, I realized I hadn't done the math the night before about what time you were going to come by. And I was like, I could skip meditation, but let me do it anyway. And there was enough time.
So you did it this morning?
Yeah.
Oh, good. So you're ready for the show.
I'm ready.
I really like talking with you. This has been a great conversation. And I feel like we might even need to continue it another time if possible.
I would love to do that. There is so much to talk about. And when I was getting ready for this, I just kept making new discoveries and looking up things that I didn't know, and
oh, cool.
It's kind of amazing, yeah.
So I know we're sort of jumping all around, but I just have so much in my pointy little brain. Well, would you say that Gandhi or Martin Luther King were like yogis?
Yes, absolutely.
Or Bob Marley even?
Yeah. So
even though were they doing the downward dog though?
No, Gandhi was doing the postures because he was in he lived in India where it was very common to do that. But as far as I know, Martin Luther King never was interested in the yoga postures. I'm sure he knew about them, but as far as I know, I think somebody would know by now if he had. Bob Marley, I don't know, probably not. I know the suffragettes who marched to get the vote for women in this country were nonviolent. They went to jail, they went on hunger strikes, they had things thrown at them while they marched. So I would call that nonviolent civil disobedience. So
would anybody that takes part in a nonviolent action is it like kind of yoga-ish?
Yes, yes. So here's a bridge between the world of yoga, the practices of yoga, that way of life, and the way of life of the activists. This is the bridge. So, for example, Native Americans, our image of them in the media a lot, in history, is they're fierce warriors on a horse, and they're bloodthirsty, and they scalp people. But it's also true that Native Americans have a very strong lineage of nonviolence and understanding how to use nonviolence, which showed up last year with Standing Rock, where people unarmed stood up to heavily armed tactical PSYOPs forces they had attack dogs, they were using mace and drones overhead, surveilling.
Wow.
They were arresting people.
Oh, wow.
A couple of people got run over by cars. It was very provocative, but a good activist knows that if you want to succeed, you cannot become violent because you want to win the hearts and minds of people. And the minute you become violent, the other side has every excuse to use all the violence they have at their hand.
And so your belief is that violence, even if we're using it like on our side, quote unquote, it's still not a good idea.
I don't think it's strategic.
It's not going to work.
I don't think it's strategic, and I don't think as a yoga teacher and as a student of yoga, which is psychology. It's about psychology. It's about practical, what works. I don't think intending to hurt people is leading you on the path of happiness. I want to be happy. That's my goal. Other people have other goals in life. But I want to be happy. I want people around me to be happy. I want the people around me not to be harmed. And when I say people around me, I don't have a problem extending that to the whole globe. Because,
right, because we're all connected.
Puerto Rico's far away, I could say, but there's a lot of suffering there right now.
And in Mexico.
Yes.
And in Texas.
Yeah.
And in Florida.
Yes.
And in India and Bangladesh.
Yes.
And like all over, just in this short, I don't know, couple week time frame, millions of people have been affected by.
And one person, I can't save them all. But
excuse me, I just had something in my throat. Excuse me, Carlotta.
Newton, I think it's so...
That's so fake water in my cup.
Gentlemanly, the way you cover your mouth even though you don't have germs.
Oh, I'm trying to be respectful of you, Carlotta.
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it.
Hey, listen, you know what? I think we're running out of time, but I wanted to end with a quote.
Okay.
And just quickly ask you what you think. It's from Che Guevara, and he was a Cuban revolutionary. At the risk of seeming ridiculous, let me just say that the true revolutionary is guided by a great feeling of love. Mm-hmm. It's impossible to think of a genuine revolutionary lacking this quality. I have to agree. I think love is the most powerful weapon, and it is the one that will win, even if it takes longer.
Yeah, I think in a divisive world, being motivated by love is revolutionary.
Yes. Oh, and that reminds me of one last quote. I forget who said this, so forgive me, but somebody said, optimism is a political act. Mm-hmm. If you're able to hold hope in this world, in the way that the world's going right now, because from hope comes action. Mm-hmm. And if you're cynical, then you don't do anything. You just sit there and complain, but you're not part of the solution. So
right.
Optimism is a political action, and love is the most revolutionary thing we can do right now, is truly love each other, no matter who you are. That's everyone, period.
Yes,
it's hard, but we can do it.
And it feels better, just back to a personal, practical level. It feels better to love than to hate. I mean, you can analyze that with scientific feedback.
Yeah, we have proof on that.
I think
so. Thank you so much for coming, Carlotta.
Newton, it has been such a... Oh, you're stuck to your cup.
Oh dear, I'm stuck to my cup.
Such a pleasure, Newton.
Thank you. I hope to have you again soon.
I hope so too.
Thank you, everybody, for watching our show, and we will be back next month with another episode of Our Nation's Transformation, Beyond the Talking Points. Until next time, smile at 5 strangers and see what happens. Love you. Thanks for watching. Bye.